Extravehicular activity is undoubtedly the most dangerous job in space. Even with the protection of safety tethers, astronauts are still vulnerable to space debris collisions. Annie's mission this time was to repair the signal transmitter. However, just as Annie was communicating with other crew members, a bizarre creature suddenly emerged from the cooling vent. The space station teammates quickly inquired about the situation, only to see an octopus-like monster clearly present. The monster tightly wrapped around the astronaut's body, seemingly targeting the coolant inside the spacesuit. It then began to forcefully tear at Annie's suit. No matter how thick the garment was, it couldn't withstand such an onslaught. Soon, the coolant began to seep into her helmet. If she didn't hurry back to the cabin, she might become the first person to drown in space. To avoid achieving this Guinness World Record, Annie took a risk and unhooked her safety tether. She decided to take a shortcut and jump directly towards the hatch. After a close call, Annie finally made it to the hatch entrance. However, just as her teammates were about to open the airlock, she discovered that the liquid in her helmet had already filled up completely. The alien monster's target was the entire space station. At this moment, a touching scene occurred. To avoid implicating the other crew members, Annie decided to sacrifice herself along with the alien monster, drifting off into the vast universe. Just as the teammates inside the ship were grieving, the monster suddenly crawled back. It then attempted to enter the space station through the thruster nozzle. The astronauts quickly devised a plan to deal with it. They would ignite the ship's thrusters the moment the monster crawled into the nozzle, burning it to death. However, they underestimated the monster's speed. After a series of operations, they wasted fuel in vain. This creature possessed an extremely high level of intelligence. By this time, the space station, having undergone several ordeals, had severely deviated from Earth's orbit. It wouldn't be long before it would enter the atmosphere along with the monster. The consequences would be unimaginable if the monster reached Earth. Suddenly, scientist Jack thought of something. Initially, they had first discovered the monster on Mars when it was still a single-celled organism. At that time, a large amount of oxygen was consumed to activate it. Moreover, the monster was particularly interested in water sources, indicating that it was a carbon-based life form, just like humans. The crew then came up with another plan. They decided to lock themselves in one section of the ship and evacuate all the oxygen from the other compartments, forcing the monster to suffocate. The team members quickly took action. However, at this moment, Jack discovered something in the cabin, but he didn't report it to his teammates in time. The captain found Jack after finishing his work, and by this time, Jack had already begun to lose his senses, even uttering strange things in his sleep. One of the crew members noticed the abnormality and hurried over to check on Jack's condition. However, just as everyone was unzipping his clothes, they saw that the alien creature had already coiled around his leg. The monster was feeding on Jack's blood. The panicked captain quickly tried to electrocute the monster, but it was too late. The monster had already evolved into its complete form, growing several times in size. The crew members fled in terror, while the Japanese astronaut was so frightened that he froze, unable to move.